Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. I blog over at thefrugalcottage.com all about budgeting, money saving, investing and lots of things in between. And as it's a new week and a new month, I've got my first cash envelope stuffing video for you today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I've got lots more content coming up. So if you're new here, I do my cash envelope stuffing on a Sunday. Just because when I'm at home it's easy to do, and as it's a new month they are all empty because I've put some of the leftover money in some sinking funds, and I've got a big change jar where all the kind of 1p, 2p's, 5p's go into. But I thought I'd address one question first because I've got this quite a few times now and I keep meaning to say about this. So if you watched my video the other day, you'll know that I have a budget planner, and in my budget planner, let me just move that out of there a second. I have a monthly budget for the variable expenses. That's what go in my cash envelopes. And I've had a couple of questions about the fact that why do I plan a monthly budget when I do things weekly? And it's a good question, to be fair. The reason why I don't get all this out at the same time, i.e. get all of this out on the first of the month and then keep it, is simply because I don't feel comfortable keeping that much cash in our house, but also kind of carrying that around. So if I was going to do the food shop, I wouldn't want to go to Morrison's this morning because that's where I do the food shop, with £250 in my cash envelope, and that is purely a personal decision. If you are comfortable with having kind of cash in your house, then by all means take the full amount out at the beginning of the month and just take it as is every week if you want, or leave it all in. It is totally up to you how to decide how you do that. So I have a budget per month, so again for food it's £250, but then I kind of split that into weeks. So £250 gives us just over £60 a week on food, and you know that's mainly where we stick around. Some weeks are slightly more, some weeks are slightly less, but overall that's what it gives us. And so although I do a monthly budget with monthly expense kind of categories, I do split them then up into weeks, which I realise might seem quite confusing, but that's just how I do it. If you are comfortable carrying around cash like that, or indeed just having it in your house, and you know you do what works for you, this is how I feel this works for me. So that being said, let's get on to our cash envelopes. Also, this budget planner is available to download on my site. I'll leave a link below. But yeah, let's get going. So these are my cash envelopes. Again, I'll leave the binder and the envelopes below. They're just from Amazon, but I love them, as you well know by now. So we'll get them out, and the eagle-eyed monster, you might notice that I've got more envelopes in my cash envelope binder than normal because, and I'll give you a sneak peek, I've now got some sinking fund envelopes. So I'm going to do a video about those. Is that coming next week? I think that's coming next week. So I'll talk about those more then. But yeah, anyway, so my four for this year, and for this month obviously, are food, petrol, miscellaneous and children. So the four variable expense categories that we use this year. I do have two others in here if you've been following for a while. I do have an eating out one and I do have a clothes one. Oh, you see they're upside down. But as we're not using those this month or this year, they just stay in there. So, and like I said, all of these, because it's a new month, I have emptied all of these, so they're all empty for a brand new start. So, and because it's the kind of the first week of the first month, not the first month, the first week of a new month, I'm going to put slightly more in our food envelope this week. This is just to do any kind of top-ups that we need, or maybe there's some good bargains. Supermarkets tend to have good bargains in the first week of a month, so I like to have a bit of leeway just in case I can get some of those. And also there are things like, I know I need to buy some more pasta because we've finally run out of pasta, and I need to buy some more rice. I tend to buy the bigger bags of those, so they do last us a while, but then obviously when they run out it's more expensive than buying just like a smaller bag. So you know, again, it's weighing that up. It is cheaper to buy the bigger bags, so if you've got enough room to store those. then you know it's worth it. I talk a lot about this in my how to save money on food video, which I'll leave a link down below. But yeah, so this week for food, I'm going to put in £80 in there for food this week, which might seem a lot considering I've just said that our food budget is normally £60 a week. But there are, like I said, there are some months that are much more than others, and some weeks that are much more than others, and then some weeks that are not as much at all. And if you've watched my January budget recap, you'll see that some weeks we hardly spend anything on food. So yeah, so for food this week, I'm going to put £80 in there. And as I go food shopping on a Sunday afternoon, by this evening, most of that will be gone. So there we go, there's the £80 in my food envelope. The food like insert thing that says food is getting a bit scratchy. I might need to print that out again. But anyway, that's our food budget for this week. I always say this, but I don't think we'll go near £80, but we'll see. We'll see what bargains I can find today. And remember, a bargain is only a bargain if you would eat it or buy it normally. So, for example, because these are one of my danger zones, and I don't know if all supermarkets are the same, but Morrison's in the freezer aisles have like a big freezer at the end of the aisle with like the deals of the week or whatever in there. And there's always like tubs of ice cream, different pizzas, all that kind of stuff. They're the kind of ones I'm like, ooh, that's a good deal, and they're one of my danger zones, so I need to be careful about that. If it's something that we would generally like use and eat, then fine, but it's not always the case, so I need to be careful. Anyway, so that's our food budget. Petrol, again empty. Petrol ones normally get empty, to be fair. I'm going to put £30 in my petrol envelope. £30 should last for the week. I've got just over a quarter of a tank in the car, so that should last, although petrol prices are going up near us, which is something to keep an eye on. Nothing I can do about, but I do try and go to the cheapest place. Morrison's is the cheapest one near us, so that's £30 in there. I'm then going to put in £20 in the miscellaneous envelope. This is like household stuff, the cat's food, for example, that kind of thing. Fairly straightforward in terms of what we spend that on, and again it does tend to be emptied fairly regularly. There's often not that much left in there, but that's okay, that's what it's there for. Our miscellaneous budget is £100 in a month. And that was one that I increased before Christmas because I seem to go over it quite often, but I've kind of reduced it back down again, so we'll see how that goes. I managed to stay under it for January just, but we'll see. That's the kind of one where things all run out at the same time, so all of a sudden I'll need dishwasher tablets and like washing machine liquid and, you know, all the things that you buy sometimes and actually they're not that cheap, and then they all seem to run out at the same time. So we'll see how the miscellaneous budget goes for this month, but I've put £20 in there for now. And then the final cash envelope for us is the children's envelope. We have 2 young children, and contrary to popular belief, they don't cost us that much. I keep reading all these articles about how expensive children are and how much you spend on them in the first like 5 years or whatever, but the thing is, yeah, you can spend an awful lot on your children, but at the same time you can also do lots of things that are free, and actually most of the time they probably enjoy more. So we go to the park quite often, we go out for walks, we go on bike rides, we are, you know, when the weather's nicer we take picnics. It's things like that that are really fun to do, and don't cost as much as you think they're going to cost. You might end up paying for parking somewhere. That normally seems to be an expense, although that in theory comes out of our miscellaneous budget envelope. So in this one I'm just going to put £10 in here for the children's envelope. Their budget is £100 a month. And generally, unless they need new shoes, we generally don't go over the £100 for them yet. And now I appreciate we've got 2 young children, and this might be much harder if you've got 2 teenagers, or, you know, a horde that do so many different things on a weekend, parties all the time. I appreciate that for us it might be a very different circumstance, but for our 2, who are 4 and 2, they don't cost us a lot most of the time. And in my sinking fund envelope video that I'm going to do, I talk about I've got a school sinking funds envelope, because school uniform was a bit of a shock this year for the first time in terms of how much that costs. So in terms of children, they don't cost us that much yet, but I realise that our circumstances might be very different. And that brings me to the end. So a quick recap. So children have got 10, miscellaneous has got 20, petrol has got 30, and food has got 80. And they're the 4 cash envelopes for this week. And like I said, I love this system. I've said so many times before, I talk about it to people all the time. You know, I think it can transform your finances. However, you do need to find a system that is right for you. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.